Today, you're going to learn the best way to understand native English speakers. Do you know what it is? The best way is to practice listening to native speakers and to expand your vocabulary with natural expressions. And that's what you'll do today. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. Here's how this lesson will work. I'm going to say a sentence 3 times and you need to write down exactly what you hear in the comments. And I'm going to talk fast and use natural expressions. And this listening test will progress from beginner to more advanced. Let's get started. I'll say it 3 times. You're on a roll. You're on a roll. You're on a roll. Did you get this one? I said you're on a roll. Notice that contraction, your. This is you are. And native speakers, we pronounce this very unstressed. You're on a. Notice how on a sounds like one word because I use that N from on. I transfer it to a, on na. But I have to say it as one word, on a. You're on a roll. You're on a roll.
You're on a roll.
What does this mean? This is a great expression because when you're on a roll, it means you're experiencing a period of continuous success or good fortune. So this is a very positive thing. In the sports world, if a sports team wins 5 games in a row, which means consecutively one after the other, that team would be on a roll. Or in the workplace, let's say Mohammed has a sales job and Mohammed made 5 sales today. He's on a roll because you need the verb to be. He is as a contraction, he's. He's on a roll.
He's on a roll.
Or how about you? If you pass this listening test, the next one, and the next one in this lesson, you can say, I pass all 4 listening tests, I'm on a roll.
I'm on a roll.
Or you could say, I've studied English every day this month so that continuous success, one after the other. I've studied English every day this month. I'm on a roll. And notice that verb tense, I've studied. I have studied. This is the present perfect, and it's being used because it's an unfinished time reference. So if I say this month, it means the month is still in progress. Maybe it's the 20th or 23rd. So put I'm on a roll because you're watching this lesson, and I'm sure you've watched other English lessons, hopefully mine, this week. So you can say I'm on a roll. Put that in the comments.
Are we on a roll or are we on a roll?
Our next listening exercise, a little more difficult. I'll say it 3 times. I'm not a fan of sports. I'm not a fan of sports. I'm not a fan of sports. Did you get this one? I said I'm not a fan of sports. Notice that contraction. I am, I'm not a can be linked together, so said as one word. But notice that T is between 2 vowels, so I'm going to pronounce it as a soft D. Nada, nada. I'm not a fan of. So I can combine fan of together, fan of. But I need to take that N and transfer it to the next sound, nuv, fan of. I'm not a fan of sports. I'm not a fan of sports. This has a very simple meaning. To be a fan of something or someone means you like it. You like that something or you like that someone. What about you? Are you a fan of American football, which in North America we just call football, but to avoid confusion for you, are you a fan of American football, the NFL? To reply on the negative side, you can say, I'm not at all a fan. So this means you really dislike sports or American football. I'm not at all a fan. A little less negative, I'm not a fan. I dislike it, but not really dislike it. I dislike American football. I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan. I'm a giant fan if you love American football. So which one describes you? Put it in the comments. For me, I would say I'm not at all a fan. I would rather watch football, soccer, than American football, which we call football. Now remember, you can use this expression with something or someone. For example, I'm a fan of Taylor Swift. And of course that means her music, what she does. I'm a fan of Taylor Swift. I'm a fan of Elon Musk. Or sports, something. I'm a fan of yoga, biking. Technology is a great something. I'm a fan of Google Drive. Personally, I'm a huge fan of Google Drive. I love it. I'm a fan of Amazon. I'm a fan of Android. Whatever you want. So you can get a lot of use out of this expression.
I just wanted to tell you, I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan.
Not a sports fan, huh?
Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, the movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson. Our next listening exercise, I'll say it 3 times. You really hit the jackpot. You really hit the jackpot. You really hit the jackpot. Did you get this one? I said you really hit the jackpot. Now, native speakers, we often pronounce you as a very unstressed ya. You really hit. Notice I don't say hit and pronounce that T because it forces me to take a pause. Hit the. So you don't really hear the T. This is called a flap T. Hit the jackpot. Now, when you hit the jackpot, it means you win the lottery, which is an awesome thing.
Woohoo! I hit the jackpot!
But outside of the context of the lottery, when you hit the jackpot, it means you achieve a highly desirable or fortunate outcome. And it's by chance. Just like when you win the lottery, when you hit the jackpot, it's by chance. They just pull a number and by chance, it's your number, you hit the jackpot. So when you use this expression outside of the lottery, it's also by chance. So I could say, I love fashion and my boss just assigned me to the Vogue account. Vogue is a fashion brand. And I get to go to Fashion Week for free. I hit the jackpot. But this suggests that it was just by chance that I was given the Vogue account. It's not because I spent weeks preparing a presentation to try to get the account. It was just randomly assigned to me. I hit the jackpot. And just remember those conjugations of hit, it's hit, hit, hit. So very easy to remember. So in the past simple, last week, I hit the jackpot when my boss assigned me to the Vogue account. Or I could say, I've hit the jackpot, the present perfect, I have. I've hit the jackpot with this new account. In this case, the present perfect is for an action, a completed past action that has a result in the present. And here's a true example. My students are absolutely amazing. All of you are so amazing. I truly feel like I've hit the jackpot with such amazing students, especially when I read the comments and everyone is so positive and supportive. I truly feel like I've hit the jackpot. So thank you all. Our final listening exercise and the most challenging listening exercise. I'll say it 3 times. She really pushes my buttons. She really pushes my buttons. She really pushes my buttons. Did you get this one? I said she really pushes my buttons. And this is the most difficult one because maybe you heard the individual words, but Do you know what it means? If someone said this to you, would you be able to reply back? Would you be able to have a conversation? Because this is an advanced idiom that native speakers use. For pronunciation, maybe the word buttons wasn't clear because native speakers, we don't pronounce those T's. I don't say buttons, buttons. That sounds very awkward for me to pronounce. I never, ever say it like that. I always say buttons, 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 buttons. So those T's become flat T's. We don't push out the air. Now you can absolutely say buttons. You can pronounce the T, but it's important that you know how native speakers pronounce it so you can understand us and not be confused when we say buttons. And you can hear that unstressed buttons in this clip. Let's listen now.
Button, button. Who's got the button?
So now that you know how to hear buttons, let's learn about this expression to push one's buttons. And notice buttons is always plural. This is when you annoy someone on purpose. Now, why would you annoy someone on purpose? Well, you have maybe a sister, a brother, a best friend, a husband, a wife, a mom and dad, and you probably know how to push their buttons. You know how to get a reaction out of them. And let's be honest, sometimes you do it on purpose, right? So let's say you have a sibling, your mom could say to you, "Why do you always push your sister's buttons?" So notice your sister's buttons. The buttons belong to your sister, so you need the possessive there. And your mom is saying, "Why do you always purposely annoy your sister?" And maybe you push her buttons by talking about her ex-boyfriend. And you know just the mention of his name really irritates her. But you do it on purpose to get that reaction. Let's be honest, we've all done something like this. There are always little rivalries in the workplace as well. So someone could say, "She's just trying to push my buttons, but it won't work." So she's saying someone else is trying to annoy her on purpose, but she's going to ignore it. It won't work. And maybe this other coworker is doing this by talking about the Vogue account that she lost. Remember, she hit the jackpot with the Vogue account, but then she forgot to do something and they fired her from the account, so she's not going to Fashion Week and she's not working on the Vogue account. So just talking about the Vogue account really creates a reaction in her. This happens a lot. Let's say you have two friends, one of them supports this sports team and the other friend supports this sports team and they're rivals, and simply talking about the other sports team gets that person really upset and annoyed. So you could say, "I know how to push Alexander's buttons. Just mention how France lost the World Cup."
He pushes my buttons.
This kid is pushing my buttons.
Really knows how to push buttons.
Now let's do an imitation exercise so you can practice all these natural pronunciation changes. I'll say each sentence again 3 times, but this time after I say it, I want you to repeat it out loud. Here we go. You're on a roll. You're on a roll. You're on a roll. I'm not a fan of sports. I'm not a fan of sports. I'm not a fan of sports. You really hit the jackpot. You really hit the jackpot. You really hit the jackpot. She really pushes my buttons. She really pushes my buttons. She really pushes my buttons. So would you like this lesson? Do you want me to make more lessons just like this? If you do, then put on a roll, on a roll, on a roll in the comments below. And of course, make sure you like this video, share with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And learning idioms is must know to understand native speakers, so watch this video on the 20 most common idioms right now.